improper or unpleasant remark. Sviazhsky spoke of Levin, and told of some of his strange opinions in regard to machines being injurious to Russian agriculture. "I have not the pleasure of knowing this Mr. Levin. Probably he has never seen the machines he criticizes. But if he has seen and tried, they must have been Russian ones, and not the foreign make. What can be his views?" "Turkish views," said Veslovsky, smiling at Anna. "I cannot defend his opinions," said Dolly, reddening. "But Levin is a thoroughly intelligent man, and if he were here he would know what answer to make you. But I can't." "Oh, I am very fond of him, and we are excellent friends," said Sviazhsky, smiling good-naturedly. "Mais pardon, il est un petit pétoc. For example, he considers the Zemstvo and the justices of the peace, everything, entirely useless. We'll have nothing to do with them." "It's our Russian indifference," exclaimed Vronsky, filling his goblet with ice water from a carafe, "not to feel the obligations which our privileges impose on us, and so ignore them." "I don't know anyone who is more strict in the fulfillment of his duties," said Dolly, irritated by Vronsky's superior tone. "I, on the contrary," continued Vronsky, evidently somewhat piqued by this conversation. "I, on the contrary, am very grateful, as you see, for the honor which has been done me, thanks to Nikolai Ivanovitch," he referred to Sviazhsky, "in my appointment as honorary justice of the peace. I consider that for me the duty of going to the sessions of the court, of judging the affairs of a muzhik, are as important as anything that I could do, and I shall consider it an honor if you elect me a member of the town council. This is the only way that I can repay society for the privileges I enjoy as a landed proprietor. Unfortunately, the influence which the large landed proprietors ought to wield is not fully appreciated." Vronsky's calm assurance that he was in the right seemed very strange to Darya Alexandrovna. She knew that Levin, whose opinions were diametrically opposite, was equally firm on his side, but she loved Levin, and so she was on his side. "So we can depend on you at the next election, can we?" said Sviazhsky. "But we ought to leave earlier, so as to get there by the 8th. Will you do me the honor to go with me, Count?" "I pretty much agree with your beau-frère," said Anna, "though for different reasons," she added, with a smile. "I'm afraid that nowadays we are getting to have too many of these public duties, just as in old times there were too many chinovniks, and there was a chinovnik for everything. So now everyone is becoming a public functionary. Alexei has been here 6 months, and is already a member of 5 or 6 different public commissions, wardenship, judge, town councilman, juryman, I don't know what else. Du train que cela va, all his time will be spent on it. And I am afraid if these things are multiplied so, that it will be only a matter of form. You have ever so many offices, Nikolai Ivanovitch, have you not? At least 20, haven't you?" she asked, turning towards Sviazhsky. Anna spoke jestingly, but in her tone there was a shade of irritation. Darya Alexandrovna, who was watching Anna and Vronsky attentively, immediately noticed it. She saw also that the count's face assumed a resolute and obstinate expression, and that the Princess Varvara made haste to talk about some Petersburg acquaintances, so as to change the subject. And, remembering what Vronsky had told her in the garden about his pleasure in activity, she felt certain that this conversation about public activities had something to do with a secret quarrel between Vronsky and Anna. The dinner, the wines, the service, were luxurious, but everything seemed to Darya Alexandrovna formal and impersonal, like the state dinners and balls that she had seen, and on an ordinary day and in a small circle it made a disagreeable impression on her. After dinner they sat down on the terrace. Then they began to play lawn tennis. The players, dividing into 2 sides, took their places on the carefully rolled and smoothly shaven croquet ground, on which the net was stretched between gilded posts. Darya Alexandrovna was invited to play, but it took a long time before she learned how, and when she got an idea of the game she felt so tired that she went and sat down by the Princess Varvara and only watched the players. Her partner, Tushkevitch, also ceased playing, but the others continued the game a long time. Sviazhsky and Vronsky both played very well and earnestly. They followed the tennis ball with quick eyes as it was sent from one side to the other, not wasting their energies and not getting confused, skillfully running to meet it, waiting till it should bound, and with a good aim and perfect accuracy catching it on the racket and sending it over the net. Veslovsky played worse than the others. He got too much excited, but nevertheless by his gaiety he kept up the spirits of the other players. His jests and shouts never ceased. Like the other men, by the advice of the ladies he took off his coat and played, and his tall, well-shaped figure in his shirt-sleeves, and his ruddy, warm face, and his violent motions made a pleasant picture to remember. When Darya Alexandrovna that night lay down in her bed, as soon as she closed her eyes, she saw Vassenka Veslovsky dancing about on the croquet ground. But while they were playing, Darya Alexandrovna did not feel happy. She was displeased with the frivolity which Vassenka Veslovsky and Anna still kept up while they were playing. Nor did such a childish game played by grown men and women by themselves, without children, seem natural or sensible. But lest she should destroy the pleasure of the others, and so as to pass away the time, she rested a little while, and then took part in another game, and made believe that she was gay. All that day it seemed to her as if she were acting in a comedy with better actors than herself, and that her bad acting spoiled the whole piece. She had come intending to stay for 2 days if they urged her, but in the evening, during the game of tennis, she made up her mind to go home the next day. Those very same maternal cares which she had so hated as she thought them over during her journey, now, after 2 days' absence, presented themselves in another light, and began to attract her. When, after tea and after a moonlight row in the boat, she went alone to her room, took off her gown, and began to put up her thin hair for the night, she felt a great sense of relief. It was even unpleasant to think that Anna would soon be in to see her. She would have preferred to be alone with her thoughts. Chapter 23